Forests are natural assets of national importance that support key economic sectors such as energy, tourism, agriculture, and water. An estimated 80% of the population use biomass energy, while urban development and hydro energy rely heavily on water. Forests also support the livelihood of many local communities through, among other benefits, grazing, fishing, honey, and herbal medicine. According to a recent survey by the Kenya Forest Service, Kenya's forest cover stands at 3.4 million hectares, which is an equivalent of 5.9% of its total land area.
We have below 2% forest cover in the state forest. Of course, that does not mean that we don't have other private forests. Yes, we do. There are many private forests, but we have not hit the threshold of 10% that is recommended internationally.
Natural forests act as carbon sinks and provide water catchment and related biodiversity conservation. Following numerous threats that continue to challenge the very existence of this gracious resource comes Forest Microscope, a forest watch concept adopted by the Kenya Forest Working Group.
We have an outline and the information we receive from our members. Then we act based on that information to physically go to those affected areas of forests. And we have a checklist of the things we normally use so that it gives us an assessment of the status of that forest. And as a microscope, there are certain things you will see. But again, there are certain things you may not be able to see with your naked eyes.
In gathering forestry resource information, the Kenya Forest Working Group employs such tools as aerial surveys, where aircraft positioning of observed disturbances are recorded using a global positioning system receiver, and photographs of varied observations are taken. Over the years, Kenya's rich forest reserve has been threatened by, among other things, illegal activities and poor governance in the forest sector. Some of the most popular threats in our forests range from small-scale illegal firewood trade, encroachment, charcoal burning, to large-scale poaching of timber.
Unapata uharibifu ni kubwa sana. Ukienda hata sehemu ile ya Chemurkoi, Torapket, Kerer, unapata kasi kama hii inaendelea, kasi ya makaa. So imekuwa ni shida sana kwa KFS. Tukijaribu kuambia hawa tafadhali mambo ya msitu inaharibika, tujaribu kuhifadhi namna hii, inakuwa ni shida. So unapata na kuna barabara inapita pale msitu. So unapata watu wanachoma makaa na kuleta lori mpaka pale, wanaweka lori na inapita pale pale mahali serikali wote wako. So unashangaa ni permit inatoka upande gani?
The Kenya Forest Working Group seeks to promote sustainable forest management in Kenya through research, advocacy, networking, and partnership development for improved livelihoods. The group documents and alerts key stakeholders about critical forest cover changes in the 5 water towers of the country.
And work as a forest working group and as a society, we need to keep on top of how things are changing. We've done that in 2 ways. We've used remote sensing, aerial surveys and mapping to show reduction in vegetation changes, and those are very illustrative, and we have published reports on that.
The Kenya Forest Working Group works to improve policies and practices of sustainable forest management with the aim of enhancing sustainable forest management practices in the country through supporting participatory forest management initiatives and other measures proposed by law. That is the Forest Act 2005, which provides a basis for a shift in government policy from centralization to decentralization of responsibilities and service delivery.
The emphasis of participation is extremely important. The community, which for a long time has been assumed that we can push them around, we can tell them what we want to tell them, that we can tell them come to the forest or get out of the forest, now have a stake.
Under this strategic platform, the Kenya Forest Working Group works to strengthen its collaborative engagement with government and the local CSOs, international organizations, and the private sector. Closed canopy forests in Kenya are valued for economic, environmental, social, and cultural significance. In the year 2007, the government of Kenya completed a 10-year process of overhauling forest management in an attempt to improve governance, address the dwindling forest cover, and ensure sustainability of the national resource.
The Forest Act of 1942 was a colonial forestry. It was Cap 385. And that time it was enacted with the settler farmers, the British farmers in mind. Largely, it was their interest to make sure that they got timber, they got labor, they got goods, they exploited the Kenyan resources.
The process saw the successful enactment of the new Forest Act 2005 and the development of the Forest Draft Policy and Strategic Plan. Forests are not only seen as a fundamental source of timber, but are also viewed as complex ecosystems which sustain livelihoods and provide a range of products and environmental services.
The community can participate in PFM either because they expect a benefit which they will get today or a future benefit.
The potential of forests to contribute to rural development and poverty alleviation has received wide recognition globally. This shift in perception has resulted in a corresponding change in forest management approaches. For instance, development of an all-inclusive sustainable forest management, carbon trade schemes, forest products certification, among others. With the advent of the participatory forest management approach in Kenya, the Kenya Forest Working Group continues to champion the need to build strong community institutions that can competently engage with government in the core management of forestry resources.
Through awareness creation and sensitization, many communities through community forest associations have come to know the existing legislations, the processes, and we've also undertaken them through advocacy training.
With the support, especially the advocacy component, of which Kenya Forest Working Group has been instrumental, we know that governance has been institutionalized within communities, and this has an important bearing on how communities participate on environmental resources that are key, like the forests.
The Kenya Forest Working Group uses various interventions in developing the capacities of these organizations in the form of training and mentorship in development of governance and management skills.
We have about 36 management plans, but unfortunately the agreements that are supposed to enforce the plans, we don't have the agreements. And this is something to worry about, the delay, because the communities had really rallied towards partnering with Kenya Forest Service and other institutions. Most of them, they used even their own resources to do management plans.
While upholding the principle of sustainable forest management, the Kenya Forest Working Group provides material and financial support in the development of infrastructure and other related systems for these organizations.
This group has grown from being an advocacy group to a group that is now building the capacities of institutions to support participatory forest management in the country.
The Kenya Forest Working Group envisages a society where unsustainable forest management practices such as illegal logging and forest conversion, which continue to pose serious threats to our forests, will be long gone, and sustainable forest management practices will dominate.